Alright, now that we've created our own custom sconce, we're going to create something in Revit. It's going to be a custom pendant light. So as our reference material, this will be our reference. See a kind of wireframe shade with a cylinder kind of encasing, glass encasing. We can see down here a little bit more about how it's supposed to function, how it's hung. Even though this is a wire, it appears, I'm just going to call this going to be a 1/4 inch rod or tube, so just to make the modeling a bit easier. Alright, so that's what we're going on, so let's get started. Okay, first things, we're going to go to New, Family. We're going to English Imperial, scroll down to Lighting, Fixture, Ceiling Based. Open that up. I thought it would be interesting for us to do kind of the modeling in Revit. There really isn't anything from our sconce that we couldn't have done in Revit, but I thought we should learn the workflow of going from Rhino to Revit. But here I want to just kind of drive home also that Revit's a pretty good modeling software, so it may be worth it, and there are some advantages to modeling in Revit as opposed to doing it in Rhino, because one thing that here, when the sconce is going to remain pretty static, all we really needed to define is kind of how high it is on the wall. Then this is a perfectly good use of using Rhino to model. But with a pendant light that might be hung at different heights, that would be a great use of leveraging what Revit does well. And what it does well is that you can add parameters and then control the parameters inside of the program. So you can make everything kind of rather specific. So let's see kind of how this works. So here we have, here's kind of the modeling from the left point of view. You can see we have our light source. We have a light source elevation. We also have a ceiling height elevation. So when we're modeling, we want to kind of really be cognizant of that, what it is that we're referencing. So for our first bit, where we're going to be building this from the ceiling down, this first bit we want to be referencing that ceiling plane. So that's important because it'll be our next thing to do. We're on the ceiling reference level, and we're going to start modeling, but before we do, we need to set the work plane. And right now it's set at light source elevation. We need that to be at ceiling. So if we do that, it will make sure that when we start building this, it's building it off of that ceiling plane. So here we go. We're just going to do, see, it'd be about 4 inch, which is 4 inch or 3 inch. Let's just go 2.5 actually. So that'll be a 2.5, but a 5 inch diameter, 2.5 radius. For a circle, we'll give it a, say a 1 inch depth. And that may be negative. We'll have to go and see what the view, see how it's thinking about the world. It looks like we want to go negative. Okay, so this should be negative. Yeah, okay, so that's our first cylinder, and then let's go back to that reference level, and then we're going to create extrusion, another extrusion, or circle, zoom in close so we can create the right. And basically I'm looking for 1/8. There we go. And this one will be, let's just say -4 feet for now. Okay, good. And let's just check our view, make sure it did it right. Okay, that looks good. Now let's start to throw in a few parameters. So if this is now where, now we're kind of building, the actual shade. So this piece here. So we're going to start to look at, what that how tall this is. So we're going to need to just kind of make a best case guesstimate about that. So sometimes it's easier to see in these images. Let's say that the cylinder is 8 inches. So if we go with this being 8 inches, I'm going, that might be a little bit big. Yeah, it might be that. So 8 inches, so the whole thing overall is going to be around, say, 14 inches tall. Alright, so that works. So what I need is, if this is going to always reflect where that light source is, I need to decide if that's kind of right here, let's say almost in the center. I'm gonna make a line that's gonna be the base of this geometry 6 inches below, and then 8 inches above will be the top of that geometry. So knowing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new reference plane. Above and another one below. And then we should go ahead and label those. So this will be base, pendant, and I'll say, I guess it'll be top, pendant. And then I can go ahead and lock in some dimensions. So this should be, what did I say, 6 inches. And this rough. Should be 8 inches. Okay, so once I lock those two things in, when I move this, see everything's moving. Told me it's inside that. That's fine. Let's move this a little bit further down. Okay. So that's good. So I think that's a beginning framework, and then we'll move on from there.